Hello, WWE Universe. How's it going, everybody? My name's Taylor. This is the first video I've ever done, so hope you like it. I know I'm just your average rube who watches wrestling, been watching it for over 30 years now, and just wanted to give my 2 cents on what happened at the Royal Rumble, which, as you all know, happened last night, and I was actually rather pleased with the outcome. But let's go through the matches. The Ascension versus the New Age Outlaws. Now, I gotta say, uh, the Ascension, they just look like a bunch of carbon copy, Road Warrior demolition wannabes, and they just look like a bunch of nerds that put on face paint. And I know they had to move them up by beating the New Age Outlaws. Match wasn't that impressive. To be honest, their skills in the ring aren't that impressive either. So kind of disappointing with that one. I was hoping the New Age Outlaws would take them to task, but maybe over the course of the next few weeks, on Raw and SmackDown, we'll be able to see them, get what's coming to them. So hopefully that'll happen. Let's see, what was next? Well, there's the Divas tag match, which I thought was just pointless. Why do you have a Divas tag match on a pay-per-view event? The Divas cannot support a tag team division, especially during pay-per-view events. If you want to have these tag teams happen, on Raw and SmackDown, that's fine. But it was just redonkulous. Why in the world they would have a tag team match at a main event pay-per-view, especially one like the Royal Rumble? Let the Divas Championship be decided. And the Divas division in general is just total shit these days. I mean, they don't have anybody with the athletic abilities that they had 10 years ago. I mean, you've got Trish Stratus, Jazz, Lita, Ivory, even Jackie. Back then they were, they really brought something to the Divas division. Now it's just kind of pretty looks, and they barely have enough weight on them to be able to run the ropes. It's just kind of sad and ridiculous. So after that, what did we have? Was that then the... I can't remember what the other one was, so let's go to the main event. For the triple threat. Awesome match. The way they told the story I thought was really good. As much as we all love to bash on Seth Rollins, he really has stepped out, and he's a real talent, and I know, whether he's a heel or a face, he's going to go far. We all love to hate him right now, and he's, he plays up the marvelous, silver spoon in the mouth douchebag really well. That sense of entitlement that he just needs to have, and aligning himself with the authority, I thought was a great move. It was shocking when it happened, but I think he did amazing in the match. Cena, his usual, limited skill set that he has, he still has the ability to, put on a great match. And with Brock Lesnar, them playing him up as just this indestructible beast, or indestructible, I should say. Because when he was here, 10 years ago, he wasn't, and especially when he was a face, he certainly wasn't the whole indestructible beast thing. He was still, very vicious, but, where nobody can stop this guy, and I wasn't surprised at all that Brock Lesnar came away with a win. Now, let's get to my favorite match of the year. Hands down, I love the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is my absolute favorite match. And every year, no matter what, I love it. Uh, and this year, I thought it was very well done. I know everyone in the universe, and especially the crowd in Philadelphia, was just livid. And just, I've seen some of the things people have been saying online, and people are pissed. They are pissed because Daniel Bryan got eliminated. And he got eliminated early. And the thing is, everybody out there in the universe, you gotta understand something. Bryan is the ultimate underdog. He's the perfect underdog because he's small in stature. He's got immense talent. When I saw his debut match at the 2010 SummerSlam, which I still watch, where he and Edge, Jericho, John Morrison, R-Truth, Bret Hart, and John Cena took on the Nexus. He was a standout performance, and I knew watching that match he was going to be a big-time player. And he is. Now, he just came back a few weeks ago to the active roster. And I know it's happened before where, somebody comes back and they just, they win the Royal Rumble, like Edge, Cena in 2008, and then Batista last year, which Batista is so irrelevant at this point, and I don't even know why he was brought back in the first place. That was just dumb. But last year when Bryan wasn't in the Rumble, and when the audience found out that Bryan wasn't going to be in the Rumble at all after number 30 came out, they booed the shit out of the rest of that match. Rey Mysterio was number 30. He came out and they were booing him. They were booing everybody out of the fucking arena. This year, I think what the higher ups at WWE was thinking, okay, Bryan's going to be in the match. He's not going to be, because we want Roman to be the guy. And the thing is, you can't. Right now, the way they're playing up Brock Lesnar, even as an underdog, you can't put Daniel Bryan against Brock Lesnar because it's not a realistic match. And Daniel Bryan is one of my favorite wrestlers right now. I love him. I love what he's doing. But I think Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble was the right move. And everybody is so pissed about that because Bryan got eliminated, before even half the field was gone. And then they were chanting, "We want refunds, bullshit," and chanting his name for like 5 minutes afterwards. And I've never seen anything like this where the fans have totally turned on anything that is against Daniel Bryan. When he's involved in the match, it's him or nobody. It doesn't matter what other faces or what other heels that people like are going in. It doesn't matter. They turn on him. And I thought after he got eliminated that by the end of the match they would have latched on to somebody else. I mean, like Dean Ambrose, which they did a little bit, and also Dolph Ziggler, which I thought he was a good possibility to at least go further than he was. Now, let me say that the beginning of the match, like the first 10 entrants, I loved what they did with the story. First of all, Bubba Ray coming back and him and R-Truth doing the whole Dudley routine, coming off the top rope and, get the tables and all that stuff. And Bubba was, he was doing great in that ring. I love what they did with Wyatt. And then all the Wyatt family members in the ring at the same time with Rowan coming out and, confronting them and everything. That was great. Wyatt calling out people and then Daniel Bryan coming out and facing them. And I think there's going to start to be a little bit of a storyline again with Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. They sort of set that up the way it was going. once Bryan got eliminated, I mean, the energy really dropped, and you could tell that in the ring, it was, I think the wrestlers were thinking, come on, you guys, get behind somebody else. This is the Rumble. I mean, not everybody can win. It's just ridiculous. But when Roman Reigns came out, they booed the shit out of him. And I think the reason why is because they knew at that point that he was going to win the Rumble. And if you look back at when Roman came back at TLC, and just the fan reactions that he's had thus far have been incredibly positive. And I think the only reason, if Daniel Bryan hadn't been in this match, or he had been in like the championship match or something like that, to where he wouldn't have been a part or a possibility of the Rumble, then I think they would have gotten behind Roman Reigns. Because this guy is a raw talent. I mean, I know he's a bigger guy. He doesn't have as many moves, but he's very charismatic. He might not have the best mic skills, but come on, guys. I mean, he's still running roughshod over everybody right now. And I was disappointed at the end when Big Show and Kane were like just kind of unceremoniously picking people up together and just kind of dumping them over the top rope like little blobs. Come on, you're the, you used to be the world's largest tag team, and you could have brought some of that back and given us a little bit more excitement, but they were just, these two old huge guys that have been around for 20 years that just kind of, shat the bed at the end of it. Because the Final Four, at least what we all thought were the Final Four at that time, Ambrose, Reigns, Big Show, and Kane, that should have been getting like huge response from the crowd. And the typical, one of them gets eliminated, and then Reigns manages to get everybody else to get the other two out. And then we have the whole thing with The Rock and Rusev at the end of it, and Rusev coming in. I thought was just kind of silly because, unless there was going to be a little bit more of a thing between the two of them, like it was in 2011 with Santino and Alberto Del Rio, unless there was going to be a little bit more of that, but otherwise it just kind of didn't work as well. And the ironic part is, everybody was behind Reigns last year when he was kicking the crap out of Batista. And if they would have thrown it, and if it would have been Reigns that threw out Batista last year, and Reigns wasn't, they were moving towards face at that point, the Shield, but Reigns wasn't a face yet. But the audience would have loved that. The universe would have loved that. And now, they were chanting for Rusev. Are you fucking kidding me? They were chanting for Rusev because they didn't want Reigns to win. I don't get this. The fan response to Reigns has been outstanding up to this point. But the fact that he's not Daniel Bryan, that there needs to be more than just one guy. There needs to be several. I mean, 10 years ago, when you had Austin, you had Angle, you had Chris Jericho, you had The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker. That's 6 guys right there that were all in the upper echelon, and they were all, about the same level. So you need more than just one guy. You can't rely on just one person. I mean, it was great when, the two faces faced each other, but, otherwise, they rooted for both of them back then. And it's that there's just such a singular mindedness going on with the universe. And I gotta say, stop. It's not Daniel Bryan or everything, but the thing is, Daniel Bryan is the ultimate underdog. So the ultimate underdog needs to start from way behind and crawl back up, because that's what makes an interesting story. And if you had somebody win the Royal Rumble that was going to be a competitor specifically for Brock Lesnar and what they're doing with his character, it really has to be Roman Reigns, or you got to choose somebody else like Rusev, Bray Wyatt, or Big Show. I mean, those are the guys that are going to be able to compete with Lesnar. Big Show not so much anymore, because he's too old and too slow at this point. But somebody like Rusev versus Brock Lesnar, that'd be a great match. Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar, great match. And even if you have something like Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar as a standalone, I think that would be good enough. But Daniel Bryan is, as an underdog, he can't be up against an opponent who is billed as the Beast, the Dominator, the Conqueror of the Undertaker. So you need someone like Roman Reigns that is going to be able to compete with him, at least according to the statistics, or however they would bill it as someone who can destroy the Beast, someone who can spear the Beast. Oh God, that's going to be what they're going to be, the promos. You know, Brock Lesnar's a beast. Well, I spear beasts. There you go. They're going to bring that in somewhere. So, those are my thoughts on the Royal Rumble. As always, I love the match. I was very happy with it. I was just stunned by the single-mindedness of the universe. And I gotta say, guys, relax. Daniel Bryan will be champion again. It makes an interesting story for him to climb back up the ladder the way he did before. And he's going to have plenty of victories along the way. And it's going to be great. You know? And people say Roman's not ready for the spotlight. Yeah, he is. He is. And he's going to do awesome. As he would say, believe that. Alright. Well, hope you like this. If you think I'm full of shit, or you think I'm brilliant, feel free to comment, and maybe I'll try this again.